Yeah, appreciate that question, and we're concerned about every kid. I'm not going to do specific spellings of any student.
Okay, so you can't give us
No.
the pronunciation of the name?
No.
Okay, and then the other question I have for you is, a student tells me that well before this incident yesterday, they brought to your district information about Dylan Butler discussing getting in a shootout with police. I'm curious what your district did with that information.
I do not know that information. That is news to me, what you're sharing right there. So no comment. That would be more of the law enforcement, but that was
I'm asking
not.
about school discipline. I'm not asking about this incident. I'm not asking about school discipline regarding Dylan Butler in recent years.
Yeah. Again, appreciate your question, but I'm not going to get into specific names and specific incidences with any individuals during this time.
And you can't tell us anything about Dylan Butler?
You were going to ask two questions, and that was it.
I just want to clarify.
That's
that you
right.
can't say anything about his discipline.
Correct.
Superintendent, can you tell us a little bit about the safety protocols ahead of this incident to try and prevent stuff like
You
this?
bet. Well, we have been discussing our safety protocols for quite some time, and we practice the ALICE training, which is specific training for shooters that could come into a building or a shooting incident. So one of the things that we feel very good about after being in this situation is that our kids, our staff, our administrators did a tremendous job of getting out of the building in a very, very quick way. So I feel that our practice, our teaching, our learning on the ALICE training, if there is a shooting incident, helped us tremendously.
Question about reports of bullying specific to the shooter. Can you comment on that, or were you aware of that at all?
No, I'm not going to comment on individual cases, but I want to say that, like I said in my first comments, we care about every kid. We take every bullying situation seriously. And our goal is to always have that safe and inviting atmosphere. But I'm not going to comment on this individual case as well as any other individual case.
Can you also update us on the students who were injured? What is the current condition, if you can share that?
Again, that would be from our law enforcement, and I do not know the exact conditions for those kids. Okay? Question?
You spoke about mental health resources that you're giving out specifically today at the library. How long are you extending those resources for student and staff?
Well, this is our second day. Yesterday, of course, was the horrific incident. So today we started, as Stacy alluded to, with the staff. This afternoon we had from 10 to 3 for students and families, and then we're going to have that same service available tomorrow, 10 to 3. And then we've also talked about this for down the road, not only tomorrow, but then next week and the week following. We realize that everybody handles a traumatic experience at different rates and at different ways. So we want to be very cognizant of that, and working with the AEA and Stacy and her team, we're going to provide, again, anything we can do to help students transition into school for teaching and learning. So we want to continue that. For specifics, tomorrow, 10 o'clock, 3 o'clock, Perry Public Library.
And just to follow on that, how well attended are those thus far?
I was told 213 is who we served for today,
213 students.
and 80 staff with a CISM.
So the staff was from 8 o'clock to 9:30, 10 o'clock to 3 was the 213, right? Okay? All right, yes.
The 7 people injured, are you able to say, are those all related to gunshot wounds, or are some of those injuries people running away from the scene?
Yeah, again, not avoiding any questions, but I've been directed very specifically with law enforcement that when it's a law enforcement question or information, that's for those guys to answer. and I'm not, I do not have the authority to do that.
And follow-up specific to the school, just the thinking behind having the elementary and middle school start on a separate day from the high school. Like,
Yep.
what went into that thinking?
Yep. Good question. That one I can't answer, all right? The elementary school is in good shape. Middle school is in good shape. There is some damage to the high school, and that's going to take some time to clean and repair. So we want and are committed to having that school look like it did, 2 weeks ago. And we want the students to be able to come in here and see that it looks like Perry High School.
So more about the physical appearance of the school as opposed to, I guess, kind of where different students are at.
That is correct.
And you said, so next Friday, middle school and elementary at the earliest.
Correct?
Next.
No, and then no school for Perry High School. And then we're going to have to assess the progress of cleaning, repairing, and we're also going to keep one other thing in mind, and that's the mental health of our students. And we're going to try to hit that sweet spot between the mental health of our students and staff, as well as the need for kids to come to school and parents' needs. So we'll be working closely with that, but that's exactly right.
Is
Yep.
it pretty contained to one area of the school in terms of some of the cleanup that you mentioned?
I just am going to say that there are various repairs and cleaning that we need to do.
How would this have played out without Principal?
Just say, we got a hand up over here.
How would this have played out without Principal Marburger?
Well, again, you're getting into the law enforcement part of it, but I can say this. Mr. Marburger, he was a hero. And I know that it helped the way that he approached that situation, and it saved some lives. But I'll also say this, not only with Mr. Marburger, but we had Mr. Snogren, associate principal. He did some actions that also saved lives. We hate to see anybody injured, and for sure, any deaths. But because of the heroic things that they have done, we had some deaths, 2 deaths, but we're very proud of the way they handled it. They're heroes, along with Mr. Benke, Mr. Jessen. They were heroes, as well as our students. I know we had another staff member, Mrs. Steele, that helped another student get out. So we have some great heroes, not only for our administration and our adults, but wow, did the kids do a fantastic job of getting out there and doing what we've been trained to do on whose ever question that was. All right, got it?
Just one more thing, I just want to clarify that
Yep.
the DPS did publish the name of the student who was injured, and just out of respect for him, are you able to provide us the pronouncer so that we get that correct?
I am not, and I'm just not going to deal with any specifics with any of students. Again, I know what I'm authorized to do. I want to stay in my lane. I want to be respectful to the process. Sheriff Department, Dallas County Sheriff would be who I'd be contacting with that.
Mix, as the leader of the school district, from the moment this tragedy unfolded to where we are today, how have you processed these events and how to move forward as well?
Well, that's a big question. We have, first of all, yesterday we wanted to make sure everybody was safe. Okay? First and foremost. Second thing, we wanted to make sure after that, after meeting with a number of different agencies, both law enforcement, AEA, the city, now we have to look at the healing part. So we started with the safety, which I've already spoken to, the heroic moves that the students and staff have made. The second part of that is healing. And with that, Stacy spoke to that, serving 80 of our staff members who, by the way, came out of those meetings saying, what a difference maker this has been. Serving 213 students and families. So the healing process will continue. And the final thing with that is that we want to, through that process, bring hope for every single family.
My follow-up to that
Folks, we're
would
gonna
be,
wrap it up.
Right
Any
here?
more questions, and then we're gonna wrap up.
Right here,
We got one right?
Perry's making global headlines. What do you think is important for people to know about this community and the school?
Number one, we have tremendous support for the schools, for the students, from our community in a number of places. We have resilient people, and we're going to provide a safe and inviting atmosphere like we have been each and every day up to this point, and we're going to continue to work extremely hard to do that. So we're proud to be a Blue Jay. We're proud of the resiliency, and we're going to be taking this challenge on and keeping the students' needs in mind as well as the staff.
just a follow-up question right here, wondering if the school district is gonna implement any new security measures or different, strategies to help prevent something like this from happening down the road?
We'll always analyze and assess exactly what happened. Is there anything else that we could have done? One thing that we just talked about this morning was to have an increased law enforcement presence at each of the buildings. As the governor said earlier, she'd be providing any of the resources needed to make sure that Perry Schools was back on the road to success. So that I know is one. After that, we need to continue now. The discussions after the healing is to go forward and assess how can we be the most successful that we can, and we're going to get some information from law enforcement. Okay?
Mr. Wicks, I was just wondering if you could provide some context and clarity on, I know this is the first day back from winter vacation, what kids were doing is very early. Was there band practice? Were kids coming in for breakfast? I know, or were they just the ones that were there early, kind of getting in?
Yeah, students start coming in to breakfast around 7:30. 7:25. So there were students that were starting to come in for breakfast. A lot of the buses start dropping off about 7:30, 7:35, and so that was situation there.
And Superintendent, for talking about security and safety, how important was the SEER system that your school incorporated?
Critical. We hit that Sears button. I think Mr. Snowgren, if I'm not mistaken, associate principal, went in. That got pressed right away, and I think it was within 7 minutes of getting the button pushed that we had law enforcement there. And soon after that, we had over about 150 law enforcement and ambulance, any kind of service that we needed. So it was critical, and for sure I think it's still another way that we were able to save lives.
Superintendent?
Yep.
You mentioned some of the heroism. Is there any specific stories or anecdotes that you heard of teachers or students that acted particularly heroic?
Well, if I start getting into specifics and I leave somebody out, I'd like to maybe talk more in general terms, and that is we had, once everybody got word that there was a shooter, everybody followed our Alice training to either barricade or move quickly out of harm's reach. Like I mentioned earlier, we had some adults that did some very heroic things. As the process went through, saving kids from coming in, delaying the shooter, to ushering other kids that were maybe struggling. We had Mr. Justin, the middle school associate principal, that carried a wounded student into a safe area So it's a situation where if you want to be with a great team, that's what we have.
Superintendent, on the mental health side of things.
Yep.
Preventative protocols to like intervene ahead of situations where the Dillon Butlers don't end up doing this. What did you guys have in place?
Well, we have an extensive service at each level, high school, middle school, elementary. Also, as we partner with the AEA, we have so many protocols and services for at-risk students that in our ratio with guidance counselors to students is very low. So we feel that those students that ever need help with their mental health, they're able to get it in a very, very short amount of time. So again, if we feel that there's things that we cannot meet the needs, we have a number of avenues that we reach out to and organizations. So if people need help, we can get them help.
All righty. All right, I think we're gonna wrap things up. We wanna thank you all. You should have received a news release in your inbox. If you did not receive that news release, please contact with Ann and she will get you a copy of that news release. Again, thank you very much.
Okay.